Devotional. Loving enemies, the call of Jesus. Luke 6 verse 35. Love therefore your enemies, and do good, and lend, expecting nothing from it, and it will be your great reward, and you will be children of the Most High, for He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. This verse teaches us that Christian love should not be limited only to those who love us or do us good, but we should extend it even to our enemies. Jesus calls us to imitate the generosity and goodness of God, who loves and blesses without expecting anything in return. 1. Loving one's enemies reflects God's character. Love for enemies is a direct reflection of God's character. Jesus points out to us that God is kind even to those who do not love Him or reject Him. This love does not come naturally to us, as we tend to love only those who are pleasing to us or who have done us good. However, God calls us to a life that goes beyond our selfish desires, to a life of generosity, forgiveness, and mercy. Loving our enemies is an act of obedience that reflects God's nature in us. 2. Unconditional love does not seek reward. Jesus teaches that we are to love without expecting anything in return. True love is not based on what we receive, but on what we give. This attitude is contrary to the world's thinking, which often values exchange and mutual benefit. However, the love that Jesus calls us to practice is a sacrificial love, which does not expect earthly rewards. When we love our enemies, we do so for the glory of God, and He promises to reward us with a great reward in heaven. 3. Love for enemies strengthens our identity as children of God. Jesus tells us that by loving our enemies, you will be children of the Most High. This means that by imitating God's goodness and love, we confirm our identity as His children. Love for our enemies is not only a way of obeying, but also a way of affirming our relationship with God. By practicing this kind of love, we show the world that we are different, that we are following a Savior who has shown us the greatest love by dying for us while we were still sinners. Practical applications. 1. Practice forgiveness. Make a conscious effort to forgive those who have wronged you, freeing yourself from any resentment. 2. Do good without expecting anything in return. Perform an act of kindness towards someone who doesn't expect it, even if that person hasn't treated you well. 3. Reflect on God's love. Think about how God has loved you unconditionally, and allow this love to prompt you to love others, even your enemies. Conclusion. Jesus' call to love our enemies is a challenge that reflects God's heart. By loving without expecting anything in return, we show that we have understood God's unconditional love. May our lives be a witness to this love, and in doing so, may we reflect the character of Christ in a world that so desperately needs His goodness.